The Tricky People Trap: Why Soft Language Weakens Child Protection. Let me start with a scenario I want you to sit inside for a moment. Your child comes home from practice glowing. They drop their bag and say, "Coach says I'm the heart of the team, Mom. He says I'm more mature than the other kids. He wants to take me to breakfast this Saturday morning, just us, to talk about leadership and my role on the team." I want you to notice your body reaction before we analyze it together. Do you feel proud your child was chosen? Do you feel flattered someone sees their potential? Or does something tighten in your chest that you can't quite explain? That internal split, admiration versus unease, is the exact space where grooming operates. Not fear, not obvious danger, ambiguity. And today's episode lives right there. Because the dominant safety language we've given parents and children is not built for ambiguity. It's built for clarity theater. We've trained families to listen for tricky. Meanwhile, grooming rarely sounds tricky when you're inside it. So today, we're going to pull apart one of the most popular child safety frameworks in modern prevention education, the Tricky People model, and examine what it prepares family to see and what it leaves invisible. Welcome back to Known and Trusted. I'm Anna Sonoda, a licensed clinical social worker, and my clinical and educational work centers on grooming awareness, predatory strategy, and prevention infrastructure. If you've been reading my Substack, you know that this episode pairs nicely with a recent article examining the linguistic evolution from stranger danger to tricky people. The article lays the conceptual foundation, and this conversation will go even further. Because what I want you to do today is not just critique language. I want to show you what that language does operationally inside families, inside schools, inside institutions. How it shapes what children report, how it shapes when people report, how it shapes what parents dismiss, and how it shapes what organizations fail to interrupt. And most importantly, what replaces it. Safety education has always been shaped by adult comfort. Stranger danger collapsed because it was statistically inaccurate and behaviorally misleading. Children learned to fear unknown adults while remaining fully accessible to trusted ones. So the field corrected. Tricky people emerged to redirect vigilance toward character and intent. That pivot mattered. But what rarely gets examined is how the word tricky functions psychologically. It lowers threat magnitude. It keeps conversations developmentally palatable. It allows classrooms to talk about predation without invoking predation. But here's the operational problem. Children do not experience grooming as trickery. They experience it as relationship, as mentorship, as feeling seen. The language mismatch creates a detection delay. By the time something feels tricky, the relational bond is already established, and relational bonds protect offenders, not their victims, not children. Let me ground this clinically. When survivors disclose, their early memories are not confusion about deception. They describe feeling special, feeling chosen, understood, prioritized, seen. They remember extra attention, extra access, extra affirmation. And because those experiences feel positive, their internal alarm system never activates, which means if we train children to watch for tricky, they will miss grooming entirely. Because grooming rarely introduces itself through discomfort, it introduces itself through emotional reward. So prevention has to prepare children and their parents to evaluate patterns, not vibes. This leads directly into the second dominant prevention message I want to challenge. Teach kids boundaries. On its surface, this sounds empowering. In practice, it misplaces responsibility. Boundaries assume mutual respect. Grooming assumes power and influence exploitation. When we build prevention models around a child's ability to resist adult influence, we are structuring safety around the least powerful person in the interaction. A groomer studies resistance thresholds. They escalate incrementally. They reward compliance. They normalize access. By the time a child would need a boundary, the relational cost of enforcing it is often too high, or at least feels too high to a child. So the child accommodates instead. Prevention cannot hinge on a child's ability to stop an adult's agenda. It must hinge on adult recognition of grooming sequences before the child is conditioned to accept them. This is where I want to offer an upgrade. Stranger danger was clearly incorrect. Tricky people places the responsibility too heavily on children. But what I'd like to put forth is the concept of grooming literacy. Grooming literacy removes personality judgment from the equation entirely. We don't ask, is this person tricky? We ask, what patterns are forming? We look at who is engineering access, who is increasing one-on-one time, who is refusing supervision or decreasing the amount of fellow adults, who is elevating one child above their peers, who is creating intimacy through secrecy, who is bending small rules to test compliance. These are observable. These are discussable. These are interruptible. And they remain visible even when the adult is charismatic, beloved, or institutionally celebrated. Because grooming literacy trains families to evaluate role behavior, not likability or intent. When families adopt this lens, institutional conversations change quickly. Because organizations often rely on character assessments. We know him. She's been here for years. He's amazing with the kids. Grooming literacy reframes the conversation toward structural standards. What access is allowed? What supervision is required? What communication channels are monitored and permitted? What secrecy policies exist? When parents bring behavioral audits instead of emotional concerns, institutions are forced into clarity, and clarity is protective. Which is why I've created the Standard of Care Institutional Audit Checklist, a tool accompanying my most recent Substack article. It operationalizes grooming literacy into evaluative questions families can bring directly into youth-serving environments. Please go and check it out. Take it to your next board meeting, your next scout meeting, your next school meeting, and let me know how you find it, what the response is, and ways that I can make it even more suitable for your needs. Inside your own home, this shift towards grooming literacy can begin immediately with the conversations you're having with your own child. No longer do you need to ask, did anyone make you feel uncomfortable? Instead, try asking, did any adult try to get alone time with you? Did anyone ask you to keep something just between you two? Did anyone give you special privileges the other kids didn't get. Children answer pattern questions far more reliably than feeling questions because grooming manipulates feelings. But it cannot hide patterns forever. If today's episode expanded your lens or changed the way you were thinking, there are a few ways to keep building your grooming literacy. First, the companion article to this episode is live now on my Substack. It goes deeper into the language evolution and institutional implications. Next, my upcoming book, Wait, That's Weird, on recognizing grooming patterns in everyday environments and settings, is open for early access readers soon. If you're interested, check out my website for more information. Third, I'm hosting live parent trainings and professional intensives this year focused on institutional audits and predatory pattern detection. Email me if you're interested. And finally, if you want real-time discussions, scripts, and case breakdowns, you can now join my private Facebook community, the Grooming Literacy Lab, the Standard Bearers, a space where families are moving from fear-based safety to literacy-based protection. Because prevention is not built on politeness, it is built on pattern recognition. I'm Anna Sonoda, and this is Known and Trusted. As always, show up, look up, and speak up.